I'm going to kick your butt, Cheech. Can you threaten to kick me in a funny way at 59? Rick Harrison is facing a nightmare that no father ever wants to face. His son has been sentenced to life in prison for years. Pawn Stars was a hit because it showed off rare items and big deals, but behind the cameras, things were falling apart. The once proud Harrison family is now caught up in lawsuits, betrayal, and a crisis that no one saw coming. What shocking truth has Rick been telling? He has been hiding something all this time, but what he is about to say will completely destroy the TV industry. The pawn empire that fell apart. Rick Harrison built the gold and silver pawn shop from the ground up with his keen sense of value and extensive knowledge of history. His father, Richard Old Man Harrison, was the business's backbone, running it with a strict but wise approach. When he died in 2018, the family's fate changed and Rick took over the business. The once thriving empire started to fall apart because of money problems and internal fighting. But those problems are nothing compared to what happened to his son behind bars. Before we go any further, it's clear that Rick Harrison's world has fallen apart in ways that no one saw coming. And what happens next will absolutely shock you. We have a media that it's just bomb-throwing news. It's not really news. Networks like CNN have been talking about it for months. But the truth is that no father wants to see their son get a life sentence, not just a few years. That's forever. And it makes you wonder, what went wrong? This isn't just about a business empire anymore. It's about a family falling apart. The show may have made them famous, but that clearly wasn't enough to keep things together. Now, there is only one man left to fix a family name that is falling apart because of crime, greed, and betrayal. The empire he built isn't just about rare antiques and big deals. It's about survival. From fighting for control of the pawn shop to defending himself against accusations from his own mother, he has been at war on all fronts. His mother, Joanne Harrison, has taken him to court over business assets, saying she was tricked into giving up her share of the shop when she was weak. If this is true, it means he has been holding on to a business that legally may not even be his. If this is true, it means that someone is using an old woman to try and bring him down. Either way, it's not good for the family. Then there's the money. The pawn shop used to make over $1 million a year, but since the pandemic, sales have dropped, profits have dropped, and the business isn't as profitable as it used to be. On top of that, lawsuits have taken even more of his money. No one ever thinks that all doctors are bad, but for some reason, everyone hates pawned brokers. It's not fair that Hollywood hates pawned brokers, because his empire isn't just in trouble, it's in danger of falling apart completely. And with his son now locked up for life, one can't help but wonder if this is the last straw that will bring it all down. His mom had enough of waiting for money that never came, so she took matters into her own hands. The Daily Mail reported that Joanne put a restraining order on her own son to stop him from selling off family assets. She said she did this because he had stopped sending her the money she was owed from Richard Scher's business once upon a time. The checks were worth over $200,000 until he stopped sending them in 2020. Joanne wasn't going to just let it go, so she filed the legal order to make him start sending her money again and to make sure he couldn't sell off family assets. Even worse, Joanne, who was over 80 years old, had serious health problems that needed constant care. Her medical bills were reportedly over $100,000 per month. But the biggest surprise was that he didn't even know about the restraining order from his own mother. He found out about it by watching the news. He tried to get in touch with her, but she wouldn't answer. Negotiations failed several times over the next few months because she wouldn't pick up the phone. Instead of being handled privately, the situation turned into a public legal battle. And just when you thought things couldn't get any messier, there was more drama in Rick's family. But the problems in Rick's family were just the beginning. People close to them were about to cause even more trouble. Enter Chum Lee, who you may know as 524, the likable goofball on the show, but behind the scenes, the guy was a magnet for trouble. In 2012, cameras caught him in a crazy street fight in Hollywood. The other guy was hurt and bleeding, and Chum Lee ran away from the scene, saying it was self-defense because the other guy had threatened him and his friends with a gun. But that was just a warm-up for what was to come 4 years later. This time, police raided Chumley's home while investigating claims of assault, but they found inside a 559 full-blown disaster. Substances, guns, evidence that painted a picture much worse than anyone could have imagined. Police found a stash of drugs like meth, weed, and Xanax, along with a dozen guns, most of which were not registered. The assault charges were eventually dropped, but Chumley wasn't getting off easy. He had to make a deal to avoid serious prison time by pleading guilty to a felony weapons charge and an attempted substance possession charge. And just when you thought there was enough scandal for one reality show, another bombshell comes out. 634. Different parts to it. A lot of people like the family interaction, and kids love Chumley. So, there's just a lot going on there. This time it's his own son Corey who plays Big House on the show. Corey was known for partying hard, but one night things went too far when he stopped at a bar in Jefferson City while on a motorcycle tour. He let loose with people who said he had been drinking a lot all week, and he ended up urinating in public. 7. Throwing a bar stool and getting kicked out, which wasn't exactly a good look for a guy who wanted to take over the family business. Corey tried to ignore the bad press, but it wouldn't go away. He said sorry and put on his best charm, hoping that people would forget. But 2021 came along with more bad news. This time it wasn't just a small problem. It was a complete mess that made people question everything. The headlines told a crazy story about an RV accident and a lot of unanswered questions, and just like that, his life changed. Reputation took another hit, making it clear that his problems were far from over. In 2020, Corey rented an RV for a short trip in the California desert. Sounds harmless, right? Well, the owner of the RV, William Harrison, said that Corey didn't return it when he was supposed to, and when he did, it was a total disaster. The awning was torn off, the inside was a mess, and it looked like a tornado had gone through it. Worse, the whole thing was full of empty bottles and, for some strange reason, eggs. What kind of vacation was that? The owner had to cancel 10 reservations because the RV wasn't usable, and the estimated repair costs were $30,000. But when it was time to take responsibility, Corey wasn't exactly stepping up to the plate. I have to agree with him that women are better negotiators than they get credit for. Instead, his team played down the situation by saying the RV had some mechanical issues and had to be towed back. That was their only statement. Insurance was supposed to take care of it, but that didn't fix the damage done to the car or Corey's already bad reputation. As if legal problems weren't enough, Corey was also having personal problems. His weight had gotten so bad that he had to have gastric bypass surgery in 2010 and lose over 100 pounds. But that didn't make life any easier. Running the pawn shop, dealing with fame, and trying to stay healthy all added up, making his life harder. 1924, personal problems were just as hard for him as his public ones. At least he had Chumley, who was inspired by Corey's transformation to start losing weight too, but no matter how much he lost, the problems from his past never seemed to go away. Then there was the scandal that shook the whole show. Pawn Stars wasn't just about haggling over old coins and rare collectibles. It was built on trust, and a big part of that trust came from the experts who checked the item. After a series of scandals, people began to question whether any of this was real. Just when things looked bad enough, an even bigger surprise came from the experts that everyone trusted. They lied to everyone. One of the first big blows came in 2015 when Johnny Jimenez Jr., who was known for selling old toys, got into a lot of trouble. Video footage showed him allegedly assaulting his girlfriend outside of a Las Vegas. He tried to explain it away by saying he was just helping her after a wild night of drinking. But the people started to look at him and the show differently. If Johnny had secrets, who else did? In 2011, John Resnikoff, who was supposed to be an expert on autograph authentication, said with confidence that a signature on a Godfather script belonged to Al Pacino. It turned out that the signature belonged to the film's producer, Al Ruddy. It may have seemed like a small mistake, but it made people wonder how many other times had the so-called experts been wrong. Those scandals were nothing compared to what happened in 2015. Drew Max, a sports memorabilia expert, was caught certifying fake items. That's right, he put his seal of approval on fake sports memorabilia that was then auctioned off for a lot of money. When buyers realized they had been scammed, they were furious, and lawsuits started coming in accusing him of using his TV fame to give legitimacy to worthless items. That was the end of the show's entire run. Foundation fell even more. This bat had only been used by Joe Sue. The model of the bat is based on Taub, but Taub never held it during a major league game. There's nothing else out there that would command that kind of premium. If one expert was lying, how many others were? As more scandals happened, Pawn Stars had to change. The show was no longer just about rare finds and hacksling. It had to work harder to keep people's trust. Some people watched, willing to believe that a few bad apples didn't ruin the whole bunch. Others weren't so forgiving. They questioned every deal, every appraisal, and every so-called expert. The worst part was that they weren't wrong to wonder. Pawn Stars began as a show where people brought in strange and unusual items, and Rick and his crew taught us a little history with each deal. It was fun and unpredictable, and you never knew what kind of strange artifact would walk through that door next. Something changed. The surprise and excitement were replaced by scripted drama, and soon it all felt like a setup. Sellers chose which items to appraise ahead of time, and the real moments stopped being real. Then there were the family feuds. At first, the fights were real and funny, but as the show went on, it became painfully clear that they were just for show. The focus shifted from cool historical finds to fake drama between Rick, Corey, and Chumlee. Fans watched to see rare collectibles, not a reality soap. It was pitched to 17 different production companies, and the original name of the show was God Like Vegas Pawn. Did the producers care? Nope. They doubled down on making the show a cheap version of a family drama, and longtime viewers weren't happy. Speaking of drama, the cast members started to feel more like characters in a bad sitcom than real people. Rick was always the strict boss, Corey was the clueless heir, and Chumlee was the bumbling comic relief, except when Chumlee's legal problems in real life made his silly TV character seem very disconnected from reality. As if that wasn't bad enough, Rick tried to turn the show's popularity into a business empire by opening Pawn Plaza, a shopping center near the shop. Spoiler alert, it failed miserably. Businesses closed, one after another, and the owners blame Rick for not marketing the place enough. They thought that being close to Pawn Stars would guarantee foot traffic, but it turns out that TV fame doesn't always lead to business success. Black joined the shop in 2012 and quickly became a fan favorite. Suddenly, she was gone. Why? Because old nude modeling photos showed up online, and the show fired her without a second thought. Fans weren't happy. Many saw it as sexist, since other cast members had questionable pasts but were still on the show. Olivia sued, but nothing really came of it. She went on with her career, but the incident made fans who once thought the show was above cheap reality TV antics lose faith in it. The shop was involved in a scandal that changed everything and made people wonder if they were ever telling the truth. The scandal that really made people question the shop's honesty was the stolen coin collection in 2014. The shop bought a collection of rare coins from a woman who said she stole them from her uncle. By the time the police got involved, the coins had already been melted down or sold. The shop said they didn't know the coins were stolen, but that didn't stop people from believing them. People were left wondering how many other shady deals had happened behind the scenes of Pawn Stars. The show went on for more than 20 seasons, through scandal after scandal. At first, people loved watching because each episode had something new and unexpected. For example, a customer might bring in an old coin, a signed baseball, or even a piece of history that no one had seen before. Rick, Corey, and Chumlee would argue over how much it was worth, then call in an expert and haggle. Over the price, I basically have a really cool coin that is collectible because it's from Jerusalem and the time of Christ. Judas is said to have been given 30 pieces of silver to drop a dime on Jesus. At first, it felt like walking into a real pawn shop where anything could happen, but as the seasons went on, that feeling started to fade. The history lessons that used to make the show stand out got shorter, and the deals felt too smooth and planned instead of like people were working hard for a deal. The shop turned into just another set for reality TV, and as things became more predictable, fans started to lose interest. By the show's 21st season, there were clear signs that people weren't watching as much as they used to. The show, which used to have millions of viewers, seemed to be holding on for dear life. It wasn't about rare treasures or surprising deals anymore. It had become just another formulaic reality show. The conversations felt scripted, 1656. The negotiations seemed practiced, and the show's original excitement was wearing off. Longtime viewers couldn't help but notice that they had seen Pawn Stars go from a new and exciting idea to a worldwide hit, but now it felt like it was running on empty. Rick Harrison, being the smart businessman that he is, saw the writing on the wall. He knew that nothing lasts forever, especially on TV, so he tried to grow his business by building Pawn Plaza, a shopping center next to the store that 1727 was supposed to bring in even more visitors. The plan didn't work out, but Rick learned from it. The gold and silver pawn shop, on the other hand, still had value. It was famous and people came from all over to take pictures in front of it. Even though TV ratings went down, the shop remained a tourist attraction, so Rick started focusing on keeping it going instead of relying on the show. He still appeared on Pawn Stars, but he was also planning ahead to make sure his business would still be around after the History Channel stopped airing. However, they didn't make any big announcements about ending the show. There wasn't an official goodbye or a final episode to wrap things up. Instead, the show slowly faded from view, but everyone who was paying attention knew what was going on. My name is Rick Harrison. I have a little TV show that's been on for 10 years and is shown in 150 countries. Reality TV had changed, and Pawn Stars didn't fit into the new world of streaming and fast-moving content. The days of sitting down to watch long episodes about rare coins and old guns were being replaced by short online videos that got people's attention. The audience and television had moved on. Now that we look back at what is left of Pawn Stars, we can see that it was a show that had a huge impact and also a complicated legacy. It took a small family-run pawn shop and made it one of the most famous companies in the world. For years, people came just to meet Rick, Corey, and Chumlee, hoping to see a real deal happen right in front of them. But the show also showed how reality TV wasn't what people thought it was. 1906. As time went on, it became clear that not everything was as real as it seemed. The lawsuits, the drama behind the scenes, and the scripted moments all changed how people saw the show. What began as an honest look at a unique business slowly turned into just another form of entertainment. Is Rick Harrison's son really deserving of his life sentence? Or is there more to the story that the public isn't being told? Could there be hidden facts that could change everything we think we know about the truth? 1936 is still going on, and the more we look, the more questions come up. What do you think? Was justice done, or was it a terrible mistake? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow for more.